Hello lovely people, welcome to Stella's Yarn Universe. In this crochet tutorial I will show you how to make this dragonfly. If you've been following me for a while then you recognize it because I designed this pattern a few years back, but I've never created a video tutorial for it. Now I thought it was the right time because I still receive requests for a video tutorial for it, and also I'm in between a very big move, so I didn't have time to create new patterns for the channel. So I thought let's still keep going and make video tutorials for existing patterns that you want to see. So this is one of them. You can find the written version of the pattern on my website, linked below. I also have a PDF that you can purchase for a small fee. The PDF is also part of bugs and butterfly pattern bundle that I have on Etsy. I'll link to that as well in case you also want to make different kinds of butterflies and a ladybug. Then you save a lot by getting this bundle. And so now without further ado, let's get into what materials we need for this project. So for this project we need yarn in a 4-ply or fingering weight or number 2. I used Scheepjes Catona. Of course you could also use DK or light worsted weight yarn number 3. This is just what I used this time. And you need one main color. In the main pattern I used blue because I made a common blue damselfly. This time I mixed it up a bit and used this jade green. And instead of black I used this dark teal color, just so you can see the stitches. So if you want to make the common blue damselfly, you may want to use blue and black for the two colors of the body. I used white for the wings, but you could also use any light pastel color, whatever you fancy, and the black is just for the legs. And in combination with these yarns I used a 2.5mm hook, something in between a B1 or C2. A C2 or 2.75 should be fine for most of you, unless you crochet quite loosely. There we go. Then we also need a yarn needle and a large-eyed sewing needle or a darning needle for the embroidery. We also need black embroidery floss for the embroidery portion, and we need a stitch marker and scissors. And if you want to make wired legs for the dragonfly, then we also need 1mm thick wire. The gauge is AWG 18. So this is just craft wire from the craft store. These are optional if you have something to cut the wire with, and then flat pliers, they may be useful if you have them, but for this we don't really need them. Also some super glue to wrap the black yarn around the wire for the legs. And there will also be the option to embed the body of the dragonfly with wire. This was a great idea that my dear crochet friend Elena had. I'll blend in her Instagram here. You should see her beautiful creations. She's very talented, and she used my pattern and embedded the body with wire, which was great because then you can bend it and make it any shape you like. You could do the same with the wings as well. I show you how to do it with the body in this tutorial, and yeah, for the wings it will work the same way. I haven't done it, but yeah, that's only optional if you like doing that. I'll also show you how to crochet legs if you want your dragonfly to have legs, but if you want them to be soft because it's going to be played with by little ones. So yeah, plenty of options to choose from. And so now without further ado, let's get started. We start with crocheting the body in the main color. So we make a magic ring. Just use your preferred method. And I started making X-shaped yarn under single crochet stitches. So if you're used to seeing me make V-shaped yarn over single crochet, I hope it doesn't confuse you now. And in round 1 we make 6 single crochet. So that's round 1 done. Then we close the magic ring. You can either not close it fully or place a stitch marker in the first stitch to make sure that it's easy enough to crochet into it once the ring is closed, because that's often a challenge for me with using cotton yarn and crocheting quite tightly, especially now I'm making the yarn under single crochet stitches and they turn out even tighter. But that makes for a neat finish in my opinion, so it's all good. Now rounds 2 and 3, 6 single crochet, 1 in each stitch. And 6, that's round 2 done. And this is round 3 done. In round 4 we start with an increase, so we make 2 single crochet in the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. And then we repeat this once more. An increase, so 2 single crochet in the same stitch, and 2 single crochet. So now we have a stitch count of 8. Then in round 5 we start again with an increase, and then we make 3 single crochet. And then we repeat all of this once more. So now we have a stitch count of 10. And round 6 we start with a decrease. So we go in the front loop of the next stitch, then we pull down our hook to go in the front loop of the next stitch. Pick up the yarn, pull it through the 2 front loops, and then pick it up again and pull it through the 2 remaining loops. Then we make 3 single crochet. And we repeat this again, a decrease, and 3 single crochet. So now we're back down to a stitch count of 8, and in round 7 we again start with a decrease. And then we make 2 single crochet. And then we repeat all of this. Decrease. And 2 single crochet. So now we're back down to a stitch count of 6. In round 8 we'll make 6 single crochet, and in the last one we'll change to black or whichever color you're using as an accent color. So we have that ready here. So 6 single crochet. And this is the 6th. So pull the loop in the old color through, and then join the new color to complete the single crochet, so we can start the next round in the new color. But we don't fasten off the main color, because we'll switch back to it at the end of this next round, which is round 9. So we don't ever have to fasten off, because the accent color stripes are not very wide, so we can just rejoin the main color yarn. So here we have 6 single crochet again. And with the last one, we change back to the main color. So we pull a loop through in the accent color, then drop it. Again, we don't need to fasten off, even with the accent color. And we pick up a loop in the main color and pull it through the 2 loops on our hook. And that's round 9 done. Now we have 3 rounds of 6 single crochet in the main color, so you can pause the video here and hit play once you've done these 3 rounds of 6 single crochet. That's 3 rounds, rounds 10 to 12 done. In around 13 we change to the accent color in the first stitch. So we have that ready here. Starting in the main color and then pulling the accent color through. So that's the first of 6 single crochet. We continue with the accent color now, dropping the main color. So 5 more single crochet to go. Now in round 14 we change back to the main color in the first of 6 single crochet. So pull the accent color through, then drop it and continue in the main color. That's the first of 6 single crochet, 5 more to go in the round. That's round 14 done. Now we have again 3 rounds of 6 single crochet, so you can pause the video here and hit play once you've done rounds 15 to 17. Round 15 to 17 are done now, and round 18 we have again 6 single crochet and we change to the accent color in the first stitch again. So we start our first single crochet in the main color and change to the accent color, drop the main color and do our remaining 5 single crochet in the accent color. That's round 18 done. In round 19 we change back to the main color in the first of 6 single crochet. And then we make our remaining 5 single crochet in the main color. And this is round 19 done. This time we have 2 rounds of 6 single crochet, so round 20 and 21. You can again pause the video and make 2 rounds of 6 single crochet here. Round 20 and 21 are done. And in round 22 we change to the accent color again in the first of 6 single crochet. And then we make 5 single crochet in the accent color. Then in round 23 we change to the main color in the first single crochet, and make 5 more single crochet to complete a round of 6 single crochet. In round 24 we make 6 single crochet in the main color, and then in round 25 we change to the accent color in the second single crochet. So the first one is made completely in the main color. In the second one we change. So we start in the main color, then drop it and complete the single crochet in the accent color. So now we have 4 single crochet to go. One, 2, 3, and 4. In round 26 we have 1 full round in the accent color, so 6 single crochet without any color changes. And in round 7 we change back to the main color in the second single crochet. So 1 more in the accent color, and with the second one we start in the accent color, drop it and rejoin the main color, and then we have 4 single crochet to go in the round. In round 28 we already changed back to the accent color, again in the second single crochet. So the first one is made in the main color, the second one we start in the main color, then switch to the accent color, and then we have 4 single crochet left in the accent color. And that's the round done. This time we have 2 rounds, rounds 29 and 30 in the accent color. So you can pause the video here and hit play once you completed 2 rounds of 6 single crochet in the accent color. That's around 29 and 30 done, and around 31 we change back to the main color in the third single crochet. So we make 2 more, 1, 2, and in the third one we change to the main color. And now we have 3 more single crochet to go. So that's round 31 done. In round 32 we start with an increase. So make 2 single crochet, then we have 2 single crochet, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches, and we repeat all of this once more, and increase, and 2 single crochet. And actually this is future Stella, 2 minutes in the future Stella, telling you that it's not time to fasten off the accent color yet, because we finished with it. So please ignore me doing that. So now we have a stitch count of 8, and in the next 2 rounds we'll make 1 single crochet in each of these 8 stitches. So again, you can pause the video and hit play once you completed 2 rounds of 8 single crochet. Rounds 33 and 34 are done. In round 35 we change back to the accent color, so hopefully you haven't fastened off like I did. If you did, it's okay. So we start with 4 single crochet in the main color, and in the 5th single crochet we change to the accent color. Just rejoining it, and then we have 3 more single crochet to go in the round. So now we only have 1 round to go, and it will actually be in the accent color. Now we really can fasten off the main color. I'll shorten these ends a bit, because now we can hide them inside the body. I'm just pulling my loop out a bit so I don't lose the stitch. So with the way the color changes fall, they are hopefully all on one side, which can then be the bottom side. And so now we have the option of embedding wire in into the body. So thank you very much again, Elena, for this brilliant idea. So I'm taking my 1mm AWG 18 wire here, and we just measure twice the length of the dragonfly. plus a little bit extra. This wire is very easy to bend, so I take it double. Maybe that won't be necessary for the wire that you're using. So now we can trim it off here. And so this is going to be the head. I'll just close the end by twisting it a few times and then bending it over so that we don't have a sharp end. And then I'm going to insert this into the body. So please don't do this if this can get into the hands of little ones, especially little ones up to 3 years old, because the wire could poke out and hurt them. So that's it. Now we're going to hide these yarn ends here. I have 2 extra ends because I made the mistake of fastening off the accent color. So hopefully you have fewer, which will be easier for you to hide. That's it. So now we can crochet the last round, round 36. So here we'll start with a decrease. Then we make 2 single crochet. And we repeat all this, 1 decrease. And 2 single crochet. So now we're down to a stitch count of 6, and here we can fasten off. We need our yarn needle to close the round. And then we go through the front loops of all last 6 stitches. Then we pull the round close. Be careful if you're using acrylic or wool. I'm using cotton yarn, so this is quite sturdy, but with other yarn you need to be more careful. Pull the round close, then go through the center of the round. And now I'm just finding one of the accent color rounds to weave in this yarn end. This is more than enough here. There we go. So this is the body done. This here is the tail end, the accent color one, and this is going to be the head, for which we will make the two little balls for the eyes now. So for the eyes, we need the main color, and we start with the magic ring again. We start with 6 single crochet in the magic ring for round 1. Close the magic ring, again not quite, or put a stitch marker in the first stitch. In round 2 we start with an increase, then we make 2 single crochet, and we repeat this. 1 increase, and 2 single crochet. So now we have a stitch count of 8. I'm closing the magic ring more tightly now. And in round 3 we start with a decrease. Let's try that again. There we go. And then we make 2 single crochet. And we repeat this again. A decrease, and 2 single crochet. Now we're down to a stitch count of 6, and that's all done already. We just make 1 more slip stitch in the next stitch, and then we fasten off, leaving the yarn end long enough for sewing. 20 centimeters or 8 inches should be enough for that. And then we can hide the shorter yarn end inside. So this is the fitting. You can shorten it if it's too long for that, if it doesn't fit in. And so this is one of the eyes done. Now you can repeat all of these steps to make the second one. Next we'll crochet the wings, starting with the upper wings. So I'm using white for this. And again, we begin with a magic ring. And 6 single crochet in the magic ring. Then you can close the magic ring. And in round 2 we start with an increase. And then we make a single crochet. And we repeat this 2 more times. An increase. And a single crochet. And once more. An increase. Oops. There we go, I split my yarn. And a single crochet. So now we have a stitch count of 9. In the next 2 rounds, rounds 3 and 4, we single crochet in all 9 stitches. So you can pause the video and hit play once you completed 2 rounds of 9 single crochet. That's rounds 3 and 4 done. And in round 5 we start with an increase. And then we single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And repeat this 2 more times. 1 increase. And 2 single crochet. One last time, increase. And 2 single crochet. So now we have a stitch count of 12, and in the next 3 rounds, rounds 6 to 8, we will single crochet 1 in each of them. So again, you can pause the video and hit play once you completed 3 rounds of 12 single crochet. Rounds 6 to 8 are done now. In round 9 we start with a decrease, and then we make 2 single crochet, and we repeat this 2 more times. Decrease and 2 single crochet. Once more. In rounds 10 to 12, the next 3 rounds, we'll single crochet in all 9 stitches that we now have. So again, you can pause the video and hit play once you crochet 3 rounds of 9 single crochet. Rounds 10 to 12 are done. Now in round 13, we start with a decrease, and then we single crochet in the remaining 7 stitches. So now we're down to a stitch count of 8. In round 14, we single crochet in all 8 stitches. That's it. In round 15, we start again with a decrease. And then we single crochet in the remaining 6 stitches of the round. So now we're down to a stitch count of 7, and in round 16 we single crochet in all 7 stitches. In round 17 we start again with a decrease, and then we single crochet in the remaining 5 stitches. So now we're down to a stitch count of 6, and in round 18, the last round, we single crochet 1 in each of these 6 stitches. And we finish by making a slip stitch in the next stitch, and that's the first of our upper wings done. So here we can fasten off, leaving a long yarn end for sewing. Again, 8 inches should be enough, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 10 inches. Trying to calculate 25 centimeters, I guess. So now you can repeat all of these steps to crochet the second upper wing. Also, you can press it flat as much as possible. You could also leave it under a heavy book overnight or something like that if you really want to press it flat while being sturdy enough to hold its shape. I'll leave timestamps in the description box below for the different sections of this pattern, so you can also open them and click on them to crochet the second one. Now we'll crochet the lower wings also in white. They're quite similar, but not exactly the same as the upper wings. We also begin with a magic ring and 6 single crochet in round 1. In round 1, we start with an increase again. And a single crochet in the next stitch. And we repeat this 2 more times. An increase, and a single crochet. And again, an increase. And a single crochet. So now we have a stitch count of 9. And in round 3, we single crochet 1 in each of these 9 stitches. That's round 3 done. In round 4 we make an increase. And then single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And we repeat this 2 more times. In the next 3 rounds, rounds 5 to 7, we will single crochet in all 12 stitches that we now have. So you can pause the video and hit play once you completed the next 3 rounds of 12 single crochet. Rounds 5 to 7 are complete, and in round 8 we start with a decrease. And then we make 2 single crochet. And we repeat this 2 more times. A decrease and 2 single crochet. One more decrease and 2 single crochet. Now we have a stitch count of 9, and in the next 3 rounds, rounds 9 to 11, we single crochet 1 in each of them. So here you can again pause the video and hit play once you completed the next 3 rounds of 9 single crochet. Rounds 9 to 11 are done, and in round 12 we start with a decrease. Then we single crochet in the remaining 7 stitches. Now our round has 8 stitches, and in round 13 we single crochet 1 in each of these 8. In round 14 we start again with a decrease, and then we we single crochet in the remaining 6 stitches. Now we have a stitch count of 7, and in round 15 we single crochet 1 in each of these 7 stitches. Then in round 16 we start with a decrease, and single crochet in the remaining 5 stitches of the round. So now we have a stitch count of 6, and in round 17 we single crochet 1 in each of these 6 stitches. And that was the last round. So now we finish by making a slip stitch in the first stitch, and then we fasten off, leaving a long enough yarn end for sewing. I leave it again more or less 10 inches, 25 centimeters long, and we press the wing flat as much as possible. And now you can repeat all of these steps to crochet the second lower wing. You can find the timestamp in the description box. So now we get to the assembly part of the Dragonfly. I have changed locations, as you may be able to tell. My apologies for any car or airplane noise. I hope you won't hear it too loudly. There might also be rain on the roof, but I welcome that. It's very calming. So we start with these little spheres that we made for the eyes. Now this is the head of the dragonfly and this is the tail. So this main color part is the head, and we pin these spheres sideways on the head on rounds 2 and 3. So this here is round 1, and then on 2 and 3. That's where this sphere goes. So I'm pinning one first, and going in this direction. Be careful not to poke your fingers. That's better. So then we sew it onto the head all around using our yarn needle. And I'm just using the seamless join method here, just picking up a loop on the head as close to the sphere as possible. And then going through the next stitch of the last round here from the inside out. And then finding the next closest loop on the head. And then going through the next stitch from the inside out. So I'll let you do that in your own time. We go all around here. So I've sewn all around now, and now I will weave this yarn end in. Just going through the body and weaving it in. Anywhere that we have the main color. Trimming that end. So now we repeat these steps with the other side. So just pinning it here onto the other side of the head. And then we do the same thing. I'll just sew all around using the same method. Finding a small loop on the head. And then going through the next stitch of the eye from the inside out. So you can once again do this in your own time. And afterwards we'll attach the wings. So that's it. Next we'll take the wings. So as a reminder, the longer wings are the upper wings and the shorter ones are the lower wings. So you can place them in front of you like this, or first measure maybe to compare. So that's the upper wings, and they will slightly tilt upwards, and the lower wings will slightly tilt downwards. And we start with the lower wings. I have sewn these eyes on too low, so I don't have as much space as my instructions say I should have. That's okay, but yeah, for you the first wing might go above this stripe here, and we sew them on. I'll just put them exactly where this first stripe is. They are very close behind the eyes anyway. And I'm using the same method to attach this wing. And I'm trying to attach it at a slightly downward facing angle. So that's all there is to keep in mind. Again, being careful when pinning it in place. And then I use the same method as I used for the eyes. So yarn needle, picking up a loop on the body. And going through the next stitch. From the inside out. And this way I go all around the base of the wing. Now I've gone all around. And I'm going to weave the end in. Weaving it in on the bottom side of the wing. And trimming it. So now we repeat all of this with the other lower wing, trying to make it as symmetrical as possible. As you can see, my wing sits on the first stripe here. If that's the case for you as well, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, it doesn't make it much of a difference, I'd say, as long as they are quite close to the eyes, quite close to the front of the body. And we need to keep some space for the upper wings, but they will overlap a bit, so that will all be fine. So the lower wings are attached. Now the upper wings go on top and they slightly overlap. So they are a tiny bit higher, like one round higher, but for the most part they overlap with the lower wings. So I'm using a slightly different method this time. The method is still the same, I just don't sew all around because I want them to go flat on top of the lower wing. So to make sure that they overlap, I just go through the body very close to the lower end of the base of the lower wing. And now I go through both layers of the wing. So let's do it in 2 steps to make it easier. It goes through the closest stitch on the bottom side and through the closest stitch on the top side of the base of the wing. And then we pick up again a loop on the body. And then I go again through both layers. So bottom layer, and top layer. through a loop on the body and through the next 2 stitches on the wing. Now I only have 1 stitch left here, it seems, so I just go through that one. And then again through the body. And the last stitch through the body, doesn't matter which direction, will hopefully tilt the wing slightly upwards. So now the upper wing is facing a little upwards and the lower wing a little downwards. And now I weave this end in. At the same time, you can, if you want to, attach the wings to each other here near the base. But this is optional. If they already face in the right directions, it's not necessary. It's just if they're not quite in the right position, you can use this to make them stay in the correct position. Otherwise, we just weave in this yarn end and trim it off. And now we repeat all of these steps with the second upper wing. So all the wings are attached now. And next we can do the face embroidery. For this I'm using black embroidery floss and a darning needle, or you could use a large-eyed sewing needle. The point is that it should be pointy because this helps with the embroidery going exactly where you want it to go. So I'm cutting 12 inches, 30 centimeters. That should be enough. So the thing with a pointy needle is you can stitch through the fibers of the yarn instead of stitching through in between stitches. And this gives you more control over where the stitch goes. So I turn my dragonfly on the back, so the belly is facing me. This is just where I want to hide the ends later. So for the first stitch, I just go through a random stitch wherever I want to hide the thread later. So this should be between stitches because this way we can pull the end to the inside of the body using the hook later on. And then bringing the needle to the front. So now I'm starting with one side here. I'm choosing the right side. So here we have the 3 rounds of this sphere for the eyes, and I'm aiming for the middle one. And here I'm trying to catch the fibers of the yarn, now trying not to go through in between stitches and aiming for the center round, but the right side of it, because I want to make 2 about 1 stitch wide stitches for the eye, if that makes sense. So let's see how that goes. I'm pulling this through and I'm leaving this end long enough to hide later, so this should be enough. Now I'm at the outer side of this center round and I'm making a horizontal stitch, so just turning it this way, so it just to make sure that it's in one line, and here more or less about in between these two rounds I insert my needle again, but again catching fibers, not really between the stitches. And exiting in the same spot or very close to it. So this is the first stitch done. I'm repeating this again. So I go through the same spot here on the inner side of the eye. And now I'm moving on to the center part here to embroider the mouth. And for this, I'm aiming for the right side. You can also do this in 2 steps. Let's do that because it's not the easiest to do it all in 1 step. So I'm aiming for a spot here, this time in between stitches. This is just the in between spot to get my needle to where I want to go. And completing this stitch, so that's 1 eye done. Now we can get to where we want to go with them for the mouth. So entering in the same spot in between stitches. This was just the in between parking spot. And here on the center part, I'm aiming now for the right side. So this is where I stitch through. Hopefully this will disappear. That's all good. Now I'm embroidering a tiny V shape. So now I'm aiming for the center part here near the bottom and stitching through to the other side. That's one side of the V done. Now again stitching through the center spot, and I'll find a parking spot again between stitches. And here doing the lower pointy part of the V. And that's it. That's the little mouth done. And here I'm going through exactly the same spot in between stitches to find the inner side, inner corner of the other eye. On the second round here, I think that's a good spot. Let's see. This should disappear. Yes, so that's a good starting point. Maybe a little lower. You can always adjust by going through a few fibers lower. Yeah, that's better, I think. And here I make a 1 single crochet stitch wide stitch again, catching fibers as I go, just a horizontal stitch for the other eye, And that's one done. So when doing the other one, I go through the outer corner of the eye here. And now I stitch through to a spot in between rounds 2 and 3, centered on the top of the head. And again here I want to catch some fibers. This is for the little marking here on top of the head. So this, yeah, this looks more like it's between rounds 2 and 3, that's right. And pliers can help you if your needle gets stuck. That's the little face done. So now I make 3 vertical stitches on top of the head. They are about 3 rounds long. So you also don't need to go through all of the body. If your needle gets stuck, you can also catch a few fibers on the bottom side and on the top side. And that's 1 stitch. Another one. This one I want to go a bit further forward. That's better. There we go. And now with the last and third stitch, which goes here right next to the others, I go to this spot here in between stitches, from where we can then hide the ends. So that's the head embroidery done. Now we can tie the ends together. I'm just making a double knot. And then I trim them short. And then hide them with the hook. And that's it. So again, I'm using black embroidery floss, this time a shorter piece, 8 inches or 20 centimeters are more than enough. So let's just start with any wing doesn't matter. I turn the dragonfly belly up and again find a place in between stitches to later hide the end. And then I go to find a spot, this time catching the fibers between rounds 2 and 3 more or less, leaving a small space between the marking and the upper edge. Again here I leave the end long enough to hide later or to tie together. And now I'm making a stitch in the direction of the wing, about 1.5 single crochet stitches wide. So I'm aiming for not the next, the middle spot, center spot on the next stitch. And going through to the same spot where I started. That's the first stitch done. Just a little tip, if there are just loops coming up, you can get your needle under all the threads of the embroidery floss. Even if it's a big mess, you might have to pull them up one by one and then just pull them up until they're all the same. And then pull them close again. So with the second stitch, we go through the same spot where we went through here. And with that, we already go to this spot here between stitches where we'll hide the ends. That's one marking done already. So here we make again a double knot. Trim the ends. And insert the hook to hide them. That's the first marking done. So now we can repeat all of these steps for the other 3 wings. So for the lower wings, they go in the same spot around here. So that's the wing embroidery done. This is how it looks. Now we're going to make the legs. I will show you how to make wired legs in a bit. First, I just want to quickly show you how to crochet the legs. If you're making this for a little one to play with, then I'll show you first. If you want to skip to the wired leg instruction, then you can find that in the timestamp in the description box below. So of course you can also just leave it without legs. I don't think it needs legs. Just in case that you want to crochet them, I show you how. You could use black yarn. I'm demonstrating this with another color, well, that might not be the best with a wooden table. Maybe blue. Let's demonstrate in blue. So we'll make a little loop on our hook and we leave the end long enough to stitch it onto the body later on. Make the loop and then we make 8 chains. Then starting in the second chain from the hook, we'll make slip stitches into the chains. And we try not to make them too tight. So this will be 7 slip stitches. That's one leg done. Now we'll make again 8 chains. And 7 slip stitches starting in the second chain from the hook. And that's the second leg done. So here we can fasten off. And that's one pair of legs. So then you can make 2 more and attach them here between the wings on the belly. So let's make the wired legs now. I'm using 1mm craft wire, AWG 18, the same I embedded the body with. And now these tools come in handy, flat pliers and something to cut the wire. So we need 2 pieces, 7 centimeter long, so that's 2.75 inches more or less. Two of those, and then 1 piece that's about 5 centimeters long. So the dragonfly is already turned on its belly. So these legs go in between the wings on the belly side. So we just put the first pair of legs here. I'll insert my yarn needle just to create some space to get the wire through. And now we take the shorter piece, the 2 inches or 5 centimeter short one, get it through so that the center is aligned with the center of the dragonfly, and then we bend them down so they should be equally long now, the 2 legs. That's one done. The second set of legs goes one round below this one, so again creating some space. And then we just push it through. So both sides are more or less equally long, then we bend them up. And the third set of legs goes one round below that one. And that's it. So now we can bend the legs at the midpoint. So more or less at the middle, we just bend each of them about 90 degrees forward. And now we can wrap them with yarn. So I'm using black yarn for this. And I'm cutting 40 centimeters or 16 inches. You can already prepare 3 pieces of yarn, the same length. And now we need the yarn needle. And let's just start with the with the front legs. I think that's easiest. So we bring this piece of yarn through the same spot that we inserted the wire in, and we do the same thing. So we pull it, we pull both ends so that they are equally long. And now we need our glue to wrap the little legs. First I'm just creating some space so that it will be easier to wrap them, and slightly bending the others out of the way. And now I'm using some super glue, just applying it like a little bit, a thin layer to one of the legs. Just starting with one side. And just letting that dry a little bit, a few seconds. And then you can start wrapping the yarn around as tightly as possible. So at the end you can add another drop just to secure this. That will create a tiny little foot. And you can leave that to dry now and trim it later. There we go. Now we can repeat all of this on the other side. So let's do that together. So again, applying a thin layer of glue. and tightly wrapping the yarn around. And again, once you reach the end, you can apply another drop of glue to secure everything and let it dry. And then we repeat all of these steps for the other 2 sets of legs. So I'll let you get on with that. So that's the first set of legs done. Now we can repeat all of these steps with the other 2 sets of legs. So now I'm bending these, bending these down so that I have space to wrap the middle legs, and just gently bending the wrapped legs forward. And I'll let you do this in your own time. Just to start, we thread the yarn and get it through the same spots, and then apply glue and wrap both legs the same way we did with the other 2. So you can pause the video here and meet me for the final step. So the dragonfly legs are done. You can leave them flexible like this, or if you want to make sure that it stands a certain way, or if you want to hang it in a tree somewhere or whatever it may be, a house plant, then you can make them more stable, especially if they wobble around, but they shouldn't too much since you wrap them with yarn. If you want them to not move, basically, then you can just apply a drop of glue to the base of each leg. And then leave that to dry. Make sure that it's in the correct position, that all the legs are in the correct position. And then leave it to dry. So our dragonfly is complete now. Thanks to Elena's great idea, we can now bend the body in any way we like. Thank you very much for crocheting along with me. If you enjoyed this project, then please give this video a thumbs up for me and share it with anyone who you think might enjoy it as well. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of my future crochet tutorials. Thank you very much again for being here, and see you in the next one. Bye.